automaton.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
The only thing that's different is my clothing, my eyewear.
Oh, you change.
Oh, I always change my glasses. Good evening and welcome. I'm Roy Blitzer, and our show is Ask Dr. Business. The purpose of our time together is to provide information and insight to help make your work life a little better. The desired outcome is you'll take this counsel and become a happy and more satisfied employee. The topic for this evening is a continuing one, jobs that have a long commute. And we're very fortunate this evening to have as our guest Chalapathi Rao, who is a Vice President of Engineering at Omnicell Corporation. Welcome.
Thank you, Roy. Happy to be on the show.
I'd like to first begin by having you tell our viewers a little bit about your background. How did you get to be a VP of Engineering? Tell us a little bit about your academic credentials and how you got to have a commute that's almost, I would say, 2 hours in duration each way. Begin, please.
Yeah. No, born and raised in India and went to study my engineering and computer science. Came to US and I traveled all over US and small different projects. But then, I'm settled in Bay Area for almost 21 years now. Been with this company almost approaching 20 years, and I've grew with the company. We were a small little company when I started, but now we are a multinational corporation. And
so your engineering was in it?
Yeah. I have a computer science engineering degree and I have a bachelor's in business.
Well, tell us a little bit about your commute. You commute from your home in
Danville.
In Danville and drive to Mountain View.
Yes.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this since 2009, so almost 10 years
Almost
now.
10 years. And tell me the average amount of time that it takes you to get to work.
The fastest, it's about 40 miles door to door for me. And the fastest I have done was probably, past midnight in 45 minutes.
45 minutes. And the longest?
Oh, my God. I think the worst was about 4 hours.
Well, we'll get to that. Really, on a Friday, 4 hours?
Yes.
Well, I want to remind our viewers that we're here with Chalapathi. If you have any questions about long commutes, please don't hesitate to ask. The number here is 650-856-1491. Well, wow. Now you need to tell a little bit about your typical day. Give us the rundown. Up, when do you leave? When do you get here? When do you get home?
Yeah. I now got into sort of an autonomous day, right? I get up at 4:15 in the morning.
Every day at 4:15?
Every day 4:15. I leave home by 5:15. I read a little bit of news in the morning, and then, I'm in the car definitely by 5:15. And that time of the day, coming from Danville to Mountain View, you're looking at 50 to 60.
So you're an hour in the car?
Yeah, in the morning.
Then what?
And then, I always aspire to leave by 3 o'clock. If you leave before 3 o'clock, then you have a chance of getting home in like an hour, 15 minutes. But anytime after 3 until 7, an hour and a half to 2 hours is minimal. But then you leave after 7:30, you're back into that 1 hour, 15-minute duration. So, It's a long day at work for me. I come in at 6:15-ish, and then I either leave before 3, or if not, I leave after 7.
Well, tell me a little bit about how you handle meetings. Do you schedule meetings midday? Obviously, you may not be your freshest if you schedule a meeting after an hour or so in the car.
No, see, over the last, I would say, 3 years, I'm working with a remote team that's mostly based out of Pittsburgh, which is East Coast. So that helps me. My commute, even if it's 5:30 for us here, it's 8:30, and most of the teams are already in office. So I get some work done during my commute in.
Phone work.
Phone, yeah.
We don't want you doing any writing on the road.
We'll get to that. So yeah, I try to make it a bit productive with meetings. But then at work, people who understand my long commute will respect. If I need to leave early in a day, then they will make it a phone call where I could dial in remotely. If it is mandatory for me to be there personally, they make sure it's during my reasonable work hours.
Well, talk a little bit about the concept of what you think it would be like if you didn't have to commute. What would you do? We didn't talk about what would you do with the extra time?
I don't know. That's a very difficult question. I'm so used to commuting last 10 years. I do work from home once in a while.
Good.
And I try to kind of organize my work week such that, like, Fridays are the worst commutes, especially if coming from East Bay. 680, I don't know what's wrong with 680, but Sunil grade is probably always like that.
Too bad you weren't a civil engineer. You could fix the highway.
I wish. I need flying cars. But Fridays I generally try to stay home, and I'm kind of trying to make it more productive, be efficient, organize my work week such that I could do a lot of things on Friday working from home.
Perfect. Let me see if I can solicit some questions for you,
Sure.
Chalapathi. The phone number here is 650-856-1491. If you're just tuning in, I'm Roy Blitzer. Our show is Ask Dr. Business. Our topic is jobs with a long commute, and we have a vice president of engineering here from a corporation in Mountain View with a home in Danville. So please think of some questions you might want to ask, and I'll begin by asking this one. Talk to me about the kinds of qualities you think you need to have to withstand a long commute.
I think the best is patience.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
You seem like a loose guy. I bet you do have a lot of patience.
You have to. Forgiveness is the
Forgiveness
second.
is another one.
Yeah, because, you run into so many different kinds of drivers on the road, and people have different urgencies. They'll try to cut you through, or crazy, easier for you to get frustrated and stressed out in a long commute. And it gets more complicated when you're running late for a meeting and you're driving in. And but I think, patience and forgiveness is probably most important.
I also think tolerance. Can I add that
yes.
one?
Tolerance. That's
You
right.
must have a whole repertoire of experiences
you bet.
on the road.
You
Can
bet.
you tell us a little bit about the worst travel experience you've had commuting? Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was give us a little bit of a scenario there.
I think, this is probably the worst. About, I would say, 4 or 5 years back, my normal commute, I left Danville. I was living in San Ramon at that time. I left, and around 5:45, 680 south, I'm driving in my 911 convertible.
So you had a Porsche?
I had a Porsche.
Convertible.
Convertible.
Top down.
Top down at 5:45 in the morning. And then
I assume this was the summertime.
Absolutely.
You're
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
crazy enough to take it down in the winter.
I did try that with your fan full on, heater on. But, somebody came and hit me from the back.
Oh, God.
And before I even realized what just happened, I had another impact because somebody else came and 2 back to back. It was 2 big trucks in the back, right?
Jeepers, you could have been rolled.
Oh, you bet. Yeah. I'm fortunate for that. But I think the thing that makes this worse, I've I've seen other accidents, but this was at 5:45 in the morning. The guy who actually started the collision was under serious influence of alcohol.
Oh, wow.
At 5:45 in the
Were
morning.
you able to press charges?
No, no. I mean, no, I did not. I actually had a minor concussion, and I had to stay
Wow.
home. No screen time. It's you get so much done on the little devices these days, and not watching screen time was a torture. But I think I'm glad I did that.
2
But
weeks you were?
yeah, 2 weeks I had to take off from work, and because I submitted my doctor report to the company, they made sure that I can't work.
Well, it's interesting. The only thing I've heard about concussions with young kids is that we were instructed to wake them up, that they are not supposed to sleep through the night.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you too? Or
You
did
know,
they?
my doctor gave some tips in terms of how to make sure that I'm not,
Yes.
I'm alive and awake.
Right.
Practiced that first couple of days, then I had, I knew that I'm fine, nothing
Well,
is
we're
wrong,
glad
but,
you're okay. Now tell
yeah.
the audience that you got a different kind of car after this, correct?
Oh, you bet. My wife was like, no way you're getting another Porsche. You're getting a big car. So I went and bought a Tesla.
Good for you.
Model
Now
X.
tell me a little bit about how you handle the mileage and the gas and the maintenance. What do you think the extra expense is when you commute? Or might you not have as much as most?
Yeah, I mean, when I used to drive a gas car, I would spend anywhere from $500 to $800 a month
Whoa.
on gas and paying for the express lane on 237. Oh my God, that's probably one of the worst traffic roads. But then, for the last 5 years, I've been only driving electric cars to work, and it's a battery. There is no engine, no oil change, no gas. And best of all is you could use all these express lanes for free. So I
Right,
could get
and you're
onto the car.
safe. That's
Yeah,
like a truck.
yeah. So, $500 to $800 a month on your recurring costs.
That's a lot. Now, one of
To-
my guests mentioned tires. Do the Tesla tires last more than the regular from a more standard car, or no?
I think it's based on the number of miles, right? You could change tires every 12 months. You could change every 24 months if you don't drive that much, and your driving habits do matter, right? But I think 36,000-ish miles is where Tesla recommends you to change.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit like the shopping network and remind our
Sure.
colleagues to please call in. The phone number here is 650-856-1491, and we're very fortunate to have Chalapathi Rao with us here talking about his long commute. Please call in, and I'll get things started by asking another question. If you could please tell me a little bit about what advice you would give someone who wants to tackle a job that has a long commute.
Long commute. I mean, you got to love the purpose of why you are
To have
commuting.
a mission-driven company, right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, that's the foremost thing. That's the most important thing is you got to love what you do, and that passion for what you do would actually get rid of all the stress or whatever.
That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah. So if you are doing long commute to a work where you hate working there, that's like the worst thing. Yeah,
No, that's true.
and you will learn different tricks of how to get used to long commute.
Give me a trick.
I'm not a big,
Besides getting up at 5:15 in the morning.
it's not easy, but once it becomes habit, you can't sleep beyond. You
That's
could
true.
stretch maximum maybe by an hour on a weekend, but it's like my wife this is weekend. Why can't we sleep a little more? Like, okay. I am not big into music, so I listen to audiobooks.
Good.
I listen to podcasts. And then, more often than not, while I'm commuting, I'm on a conference call,
Yeah.
right? So
Now, I know I've never asked this of anybody, but let's say you need to take a note or something. You can't.
no, we have to take a note. I mean, you're not supposed to. Let me say that.
Well, I'm hoping you don't.
But-
I have one other question about the whole concept of taking care of yourself in the car. would you say that you have to really like your car? I mean, you had mentioned that in our prep time, but you can't be driving something that's either uncomfortable,
Yeah.
that you don't like, that doesn't give good mileage, or you're going to be resentful for all two hours each time.
That's the most important thing, that you got to have a car that's comfortable, that kind of fits your style, and you have to love the car that you drive. And you know, that's one passion I have, is I keep changing cars so often. And now this car, I say actually it's much safer when it drives itself than me.
Oh, really?
So I'm like, as soon as I get into my car at a reasonable time, I'm on autopilot.
Now, what about commuting with someone else? Have you ever put a sign up for fellow commuters to join you, to share the road, to commute with other people? Or is Danville so far away you have no one to meet with?
Actually, a lot of people who work in this part of the Bay Area are living in Danville. A lot of people.
And
who
you've
have
not
migrated.
done anything to try to?
I've tried that. I've tried to carpool with somebody who works in the area. I've tried actually with 2 different people.
And didn't work?
It's very difficult for, you got to be like on an
Well,
autopilot.
if they have to leave a certain time, you have to
leave
leave.
at this time, you come back home at this time, and if you miss a beat, then you're making somebody else uncomfortable, right?
Well, it occurred to me you couldn't join another shuttle. Do you think that Google or Facebook have shuttles from your area?
Oh, yeah. A lot of these big companies here, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, they all have shuttles. But
that's an interesting way to set up a business. They could make money by having you join them.
Yeah, so there is this Bowers IT which runs those private shuttles, but you need to have minimum number of people to commute,
That's
right?
true.
So I've done a little campaign within my company, within my own network.
And nothing's happened?
To go to this website and register that you live here, you want to get down here. I don't think it came to a point where this transportation company saw value. They saw returns on running.
We have a caller. This is Dr. Business. How can I help you? Hello, can you hear me?
Good evening. My name is Sahasra, and Mr. Chalapathi, we were wondering, how does such a long commute affect your family life?
I like that question, and I'm so pleased you brought that up. I'll repeat it. How does it impact your family life, from the young woman that asked?
It hurts. It's painful, right? You got to have a family that understands
you need a patient family too.
Yeah. And then you got to take time when you're not commuting to spend with them. Going out on vacations is something that I do with my family. In fact, we were just vacationing in Greece.
Oh, that's wonderful. You didn't have to commute there.
No, we did actually drive a lot, but nowhere close to this commute. But yeah, no, it has an impact on your family life. You don't get to eat dinner with your family every single night.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions. Do you eat by yourself, or does your family eat separately? My wife's father was a physician. She never ate with him.
Yeah.
He ate at 9 o'clock when he got home with his wife, and she ate with her brothers.
I don't think we eat as a family together very often. But, my daughter generally goes to bed early, so she finishes dinner by the time I come home. My wife waits if I'm not kind of getting too late. I'll call her if I'm getting late and say, why don't you go ahead and have
So you're not
dinner?
relegated to stews heated up in the microwave all the time?
No. Most of the times the food is, I don't have to go and heat the food. If I'm getting too late, I actually eat outside. But no, maybe I eat more dinners with my wife than my daughter.
Well, I think the question is a good one and something to consider.
Yeah,
if you're looking for a job that has a commute and you have a family, make sure they're devoted and understanding. Thank you for bringing that up. I hope that gave you what you wanted.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank you, and best of good luck to you. Piggybacking on that, would you recommend this to a young family starting out? Your family may be a little bit more mature, and it's only 10 years and not 20. Would you have done this 20 years ago when your daughter was maybe very young or not yet here?
I would answer that question in a different way, which is, would I do it now?
Okay,
if
would
I
you
have
do
to
it
find
now?
a new job, that requires this sort of a commute, then I would not. I would not. Uh, Less commute time will probably be a priority for me.
Well, I think I've not had a Generation Xer on the show, but I'm going to try to do that because I think their attitude would be totally different.
I'm pretty sure.
The people who work at Google may not commute, but they're not home either.
Yeah, yeah.
They're eating dinner there and breakfast there and bringing their laundry there, and so it's a different kind of
They may
world.
sleep there.
A lot of them do.
Yeah.
Speaking of sleeping, have you ever thought of renting an apartment or renting a room close to the Mountain View corporate office rather than going home every day?
No, I've never thought of renting, but there were instances where either I had a late evening at work, and I had something early in the morning that I could not afford to be late, right? So I made quick decisions, and I, check into a hotel. And these days, Airbnb is so handy. I find an Airbnb nearby, stay one night there, call my wife and say I'm not coming home tonight. I know I've never considered finding.
Because that is an option for
people.
people.
Oh, absolutely. I know a few people who do that, where they work Monday, Friday from home, and they come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I think that would be worse on the home life, personally.
I'm at least
you get home, right?
That's right.
Now, I didn't ask, but I gather that your daughter is sleeping when you get up, so you can't have breakfast. A lot of times, people arrange for the kids to get up early,
and eat
so
breakfast.
the commuting parent could have breakfast.
I'll see if my daughter can wake up at 5.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Speaking of that, I want to remind you we have about 5 or 7 minutes left. You're welcome to call in. We have time. The phone number is 650-856-1491, and we're chatting about jobs that have long commute with the Vice President of Operations at Omnicell, Chalapathi Rao. It occurred to me that you mentioned a very interesting point about the concept of not only liking your job and liking your company and liking your car, but I also think you have to like driving.
Yeah.
You had mentioned you went on vacation. Were you the one that drove?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we drove, we were driving all over Greece on the main island.
Well, the reason I'm asking is we were on a trip recently with a woman whose husband was an airline pilot, and he wouldn't get in a plane again. He wasn't going on vacation with her. He was staying home. And I have to tell you that when I commute and we have to go to the city, I want my wife to drive. I don't want, but you don't. You love driving, probably.
I love driving, yeah, absolutely. It's very rare, whether it's my car, rental car, whatever, for me to sit in a passenger seat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's the other issue. If you commute, you'll lose the control. Someone else might be driving for you.
I drive with my wife once in a while. When she's driving, I'm sitting, and she gets so mad at me because I keep correcting her. It's like, I'm afraid of driving with you in the passenger seat. So.
Well, the GPS saved our marriage, so I understand completely. Let's talk for just a moment a little bit more about the impact that the commuter might have in your professional life. Has this ever hindered you in terms of missing a key meeting, being late for something that was very important, a key customer contact? Has it ever backfired on you where it's been something that's maybe career limiting, or no?
No, definitely there were many instances where I missed a meeting or a key update, something very important. Nothing to a point where it was career limiting. But, you learn from your mistakes. So one thing I always make sure is that if this is a meeting that I'm hosting, I give 110% effort to not be late for that. But if this is a meeting somebody else is hosting, and, the agenda is that I'm not coming in 10, 15 minutes late, I always make sure that the host is informed with so much of collaboration tools these days, send a quick message or an email or a Slack, something. I can always tell them, hey, I'm running 10 minutes late, right? So nobody's surprised. And a lot of people that I work with know that I have some crazy commute, so they're
Would you think your customer base knows that? Maybe not. External customers, maybe.
So when I'm visiting customers, I'm in their town.
That's
right?
true.
So, at which point, I might be in, let's call it Chicago, and it's a 10-minute drive to visit a customer in Chicago.
Now, I didn't ask this in our prep time, but do you have the computer where you can talk into the car and give an email, the computer language?
Yeah, that's the Siri on iPhone.
And you use that?
A lot. Yeah,
Wonderful.
It works fine. Yeah.
Now, when you listen to books on tape, are there anything that you can do professionally for a book that might be part of an assignment to read, or something that your boss may want you to get, or you just do pleasure reading?
I have a coach that kind of gives me some books to read, and I try to always find the ones that are available for Audible, right, where I could listen. I don't know, I'm not big into reading books.
Because the Audible books makes the time go by fast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you have a variety of collection on your app,
Right.
and you could switch between whatever you want.
Well, let me ask another question that it's fascinating to me. In terms of advice, you wouldn't do this again?
No.
Would you ever deter what if someone came to you for a job interview and they had a long commute? What would you say to them?
It happened many times. I would say, are you sure you want to do this?
Okay, that's actually very good
Have you considered relocating to this side of the bay? I actually had once 2 employees who were commuting from Mountain House, which is like another 40 minutes
Wow.
from where I live.
Too bad I can't get them on the show.
And actually, one of them left, and I don't know if commute is the reason, and the other person moved to Milpitas.
Not bad.
Could not sustain for more than a year and a half. But I'm sure, you go through this breaking point where if you cross like 5-7 years, commute is not a hurdle for you. It becomes part of your life, right?
It occurs to me that it's too late for you, but I wonder if commuting time, expenses, and overnight stays can be negotiated in a job offer. It occurred to me that if I were doing this as an old VP of HR, I would try to get what some of the salespeople get, like a car allowance, or get some kind of extra duty pay. Is that ever done?
No, I don't think that's the case at my place.
I don't think it's a place any place, but I think it's not a bad idea.
Long commute is your choice, right? This is a choice
That's
you
a good
made.
point.
And probably the employer would say that, if you like the job, we like you, you decide whether you want to commute or you want to relocate, right?
Well, believe it or not, our time is all up. So I want to thank you for our wonderful session. I want to tell our viewers that we're back on the air again, same topic on Thursday, May 16th. I want to do a shout out to one of my delightful crew members who just got engaged, to wish him best of good luck with his new bride in his new life. And I want to thank everyone for participating. And
thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Good luck in the car tomorrow. Take care. That's the end of our show.